Wisnu, let's move to Indonesia. In a country that's as vast as Indonesia, I found it interesting because I look at it as borderless entrepreneurship taking on an even slightly different meaning, especially given that your company Sampingan has a presence in more than 80 cities. Maybe if you could share with us a little bit about the business, and then also what are your views on this concept of borderless entrepreneurship? Over to you,
Sure,
Wisnu.
sure thing. Thanks, DJ. So a bit about Sampingan is, we're a fully digital staffing company, and we essentially utilize technology to recruit, manage, and retain workers across 80 cities remotely. Helping companies to capture the data that they need to make business decisions, and at the same time, ensuring that trust is established both ways. And I definitely think that you can say handling Indonesia is the same as handling a business in multiple countries at once. We're a nation that comprises of 17,000 islands, 270 million people, and over 800 languages spoken. It wasn't even until 50 years ago that we really started using one language, and even then, access to knowledge has not been equal due to the logistic challenges that we have with our complex geography. We've definitely seen that the use of technology to democratize the knowledge has been improving quite rapidly. And we see that as we continue to reduce that gap, we've been able to access more higher quality workforce in even smaller cities. As the gap reduces, I would say that the next question is on accessing these workforce and ensuring that employers have the same visibility towards employees who are hundreds of kilometers away as you would to those that is sitting right next to you. And I think that's the problem that we're trying to solve right now. But overall, I think this sets a more level playing field for people in smaller cities. And at the same time, it gives the right incentives for companies to explore and invest in this option, since the wages tiering and levels is much lower in these smaller cities. Yeah.
Thanks very much for sharing, Wisnu.
Sure.
If you just hold on, because as we enter into round two, I would start off with you. But before we do that, just a shout out to our participants. Feel free to put in your questions into the chat box. Yeah, I already see a few questions that have been posed. Thank you so much. And also, if you have any questions for any of our speakers, please feel free to put them in the chat box. If our speakers are free to respond to you, they may also do so through the chat box as well. So let me come back to you, Wisnu. I think you had shared a little bit in terms of what I was going to ask you, but perhaps you could just share a little bit more. And that is, how do you see then borderless entrepreneurship really shaping the startup ecosystem in Indonesia, especially as we look beyond the pandemic, in a post-pandemic recovery phase? If you could share your thoughts, please.
Sure thing. I think there's two main objectives that we'll continue to see. The first one is, as mentioned, relates with the knowledge, access to knowledge. And this would be through the via experienced talents. Before, for startup companies in Indonesia, I think the main challenge to get these experienced talents from the United States or India is to convince them to essentially move to Jakarta, right? Now, I guess more companies are now open to have their employees to sit in anywhere in the world, and that actually helps us to also recruit people who has had experience in these fields, and to train the people that we have today sitting in Jakarta and across Indonesia to the level that we need them to be. I think, and the second objective would be to for companies to reduce cost, I guess. And this is more on the administrative or laborious work. And there comes the question on why would companies in other countries with higher salary and wages, why would they have those activities running in their countries where you can outsource these jobs to countries like Indonesia, Vietnam, and India. And we're starting to see that technology bridges that gap of ensuring that you have the right visibility. You can establish trust with all these employees, and I guess we'll definitely see some interesting things coming up even after the post-pandemic. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Wisnu. Very interesting sharing that you've done.